Rev up your engines!
Well, as I say, greed often comes back to bite you in the rear end. Well, if you remember those insane dealer markups from 2021 and the COVID stuff, well, guess what? Now it's wrecking the new car market. Car dealers, banks, with their interest rates, they want to put as much money in their pocket as they can, and they don't care if it costs the buyers. Well, now the buyers are saying, whoa, we've had enough of this crap, right? I mean, if you look at a car loan versus the interest rate the banks are paying you, it's insane. They're making a lot of money on that stuff, right? And the car dealers just kept marking it up. Now, just a short time ago, the car dealers were marking up everything. Sought-after models, even base-level cars. COVID was on, they were just wheeling and dealing and ripping everybody off. And the hilarious thing is, now the car market, both new and used, is crashing. A bunch of these people who bought the expensive ones, and they have 7-year bank notes, they're upside down and they're giving the cars back, saying, take it back, I don't want it. You can repo it, right? Their greed is getting back to them. And of course, now they're getting the repos back when the price of not only the new ones has to go down, but the used ones have to go down too. Because when the price of the new ones go down, the used ones always follow, right? Because what? Are you going to pay more for a used car than a new one? Only a fool would do that. The dealers, the swines that they often are, back in 2021 or so, they would just say, we're marking it up $5,000 because that's where the market is. Yeah, the market of greed. And of course, they're still trying to pull foolish things. Mr. Corinthian says, look, my local Honda dealer is pretending we're living in the days of limited supply, charging full sticker and markups. Their new car stock always looks slim. Now that's if you didn't notice, they've got several dozen in-transit models sitting at a lot behind the airport. Yeah, exactly. You know, they're trying to hide the fact that they got the cars, they'll put them somewhere else so they don't see them. I've seen hundreds of Jeeps parked on lots, parked out in the country around lakes and stuff on private roads. They don't want people to see this stuff. They got a bunch of them they can't sell now because they marked them up too much. People are peed, and the people that paid too much before, now they got a real bad taste in their mouth. And they're like, you really ripped me off. I'm going somewhere else this time. So greed comes to bite them in the rear end, and it's just too bad, isn't it? Well, Ford has reported the CEO Jim Farley's 2024 compensation, right? Well, he didn't make as much as he did last year. This year's compensation package was $24.9 million. Last year was $26.5 million. But here's the thing. Yeah, Ford isn't doing that good. They've got all kinds of problems. So what did he lose? 6%? Well, look at this. The value of Farley's stock awards was $20.6 million. So he gets the stock awards. Oh, stock. You're supposed to get the stock if it makes more money, right? It would make sense. Give the president more, the CEO, because the stock did good. But okay? This is for 2024. Guess what? Ford Motor Company was $11.04 per share. That was January 1st, 2024. What about December 31st, 2024, the end of the year? Well, Ford stock ended at $9.90. The stock went down, but he gets $20-something million worth of stock. This makes no sense. These people are overcompensated. Even though the company's gone, CEO gets out. They need to get rid of these people. You know, they're leeches. They're doing a crappy job running it, but they keep collecting money. You know, I suppose if he retires, he'll get a golden parachute too. I remember years ago, a friend of mine worked at this insurance company in Houston. It was the giant one that ended up getting bailed out during that big recession. The government gave him a whole bunch of money to bail him out, right? And people that had left the company during this bailout, they got these gigantic millions and millions of dollars golden parachutes. Our taxpayer dollars, right? So, Ford Motor Company, stockholders, whatever, you need to get yourself a new CEO. At least the one you have, you should pay him a lot less than what you are. Don't give him any stocks if the stock doesn't go up, right? The stock went down, yet he got $20-something million. It's absurd. These companies, there's something really seriously wrong with them, and it starts at the top. Well, now Donald Trump said he's weighing a decision. Should he give back 20% of the Doge savings back to us Americans? Now, I mean, the government is in deep deficit, right? The last thing they need to do is give money back to taxpayers. Then we'll just get a higher tax and have to pay it back anyway, right? And they would probably even make it taxable anyway. We're giving you this money back, but that's income now, so you're going to have to pay tax on that, right? Now, Who knows what the actual savings are? If you saw that thing the other day, Elon Musk, his guy said, we saved $8 billion, and it turns out it was only $8 million. They only exaggerated by 1,000%. 8 million times 1,000 is 8 billion, right? Who knows if any of this is real? Is anything actually being saved? But hey, if they're going to do anything, put it towards the deficit. You keep borrowing this money. The government's working on borrowed money. They pay the borrowed money back faster or buy it down or something. But you know they're going to continue to borrow money. They always do. So don't think you're going to be getting any money back anytime soon. Now, if you don't know it, a lot of countries around the world hold money for the U.S. debt. They have loan money to the United States, and we are in debt. You know, and they're always talking about, the Chinese, they own a whole bunch of stuff. Here's the breakdown, and you might be surprised at what it is. The number one debt holder is, not China, it's Japan. They own $1.059 trillion. So just a little over $1 trillion in debt is owned by Japan. Number two is China. They're $759 billion. So the Japanese own quite a bit more. Number three, of all things, are the Brits. Great Britain. They have $722 billion. Then comes Luxembourg at $423.9. And the next one kind of fascinates me, but it's telling you there's a whole bunch of stuff about income tax dodging and business fraud, because the next one is, of all things, the tiny Cayman Islands, who own $418 billion worth. And then Canada's the next one at $378 billion. But what a lot of people don't understand, it's not quite as bad as you think. Because even when you total them all up, it's less than 1/4 of the U.S. debt. Less than 25% of the U.S. debt. So all these people say, these foreigners, they own stuff. It's not as big as you think it is. And of course, it's in their interest not to make the economy crash, because then guess what? They won't get paid back. If you've ever been involved in anybody who goes bankrupt, any company I've invested, unfortunately, in some companies who went bankrupt, what happens when they go bankrupt? You don't get much back. Maybe a penny on a dollar, if that. So it's to these people's advantage to keep the United States going, but it's not as bad as you think. I was totally surprised. Everybody's talking, the Chinese own all this debt. Hey, the Japanese own more than they do. And it's certainly not going to be trying to run their trade partner out. We buy a lot of their cars and their stuff, and same thing with the Chinese. I was surprised, though. We buy so much more from China than we do Japan, but Japan owns more of the U.S. debt. Well, I'm really starting to wonder about the state of the auto industry, because there are these vehicles you've probably never seen. They're called Ineos. And the Ineos Grenadier is recalled because doors can fly open while you're driving down the road. They only sold 7,000 of these things in 2024. And what they are is, it was a Mercedes factory, and then the French bought it, and they're building these kind of Jeepy looking thing called Ineos. They can be gasoline, they can diesel. They also make a fully electric version that has a range extender to let it go further. Yeah, like I say, they're not selling that many of them. But can you imagine? Theoretically, as you can see from the picture, they are off-road vehicles. You can take them off-road, right? Well, I guess maybe their theory was, a lot of these off-road vehicles like Jeeps, they have doors that you can detach. We'll just make doors that'll detach themselves while you're driving down the road. They now have a recall, and they say that 7,000 of these things made between July 2023 and April 2024 have doors that can fly open. They made the door assemblies kind of poorly, and the handles can get stuck in the open position, and it doesn't latch. And then when you're driving, they can fly right off. Oh, open up. And here's the hilarious thing. So the doors don't close and latch. Ineos says, hey, a door won't simply swing open without warning. Users should be able to see that the mechanism is stuck by looking at the door handle. Who the heck looks at door handles when they're driving a car, right? Close and lock it if they can't. Boy, these things, they're not giving them away. These things started about 80 grand. Now, if I was paying 80 grand and the doors didn't stay shut on the vehicle, I'd give them the vehicle back, and I'd give them But, let's face it, they're made in France. What do you expect? Well, the French are now working on underwater turbines. They're tide riding turbines. They use the tide, a lot of power and water, a lot more than air, right? And they say that it's going to power 15,000 homes annually. But there's one big problem. Take a look at the picture. They look just like the wind turbines that are in the air, except they're underwater. Here's what I got to say about that. The one's bad enough that they're In the ocean, blades that are spinning in the air, they've been shown that they have problems. They break down. The salt mist eats up the leading edge of the rotors, and of course the salt corrodes the motors, the generators, and everything inside them. Imagine, let's come up with a brilliant idea that the French thought of. Let's move that wind turbine with the blades into the water. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, now the motor isn't just being sprayed by some salt mist. It's soaked in salt water. What could possibly go wrong? I guess there's one big advantage of this is if they start on fire, it won't last long because it's underwater. Now they're spending about $32 million on this for 4 of these underwater wind turbines. They're water turbines. So at least it's not all that much money in the big scheme of things. But for that small amount of power, 14,000 homes. Okay, there's like 68 million people in France, and this is going to power 14,000 homes. Even if there's 3 people in each house, an awful lot of these turbines to power. Maybe for an add-on source of power and stuff, but like I said, the thing that I'd really worry about this is basic same wind turbine with big blades, only instead of being up in the air, it's underwater in salt water off the coast of Normandy. It'd be bad enough in fresh water, but salt water, I predict these things aren't going to last long before they start breaking down. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.